when this unit goes live, this is going to work on bosses. I can 100% tell you the bug is going to be around for at least 1 week. Guys, what did I tell you? I knew somehow, some way that Lilith is able to mess up her kit. Now some of you might already know what this video is going to be about, but for those who don't know, her hypothermia buff is, you can clearly see it, right? Ineffective on bosses, and that turns out to be a lie. Now if this debuff works on bosses and we didn't have Yukine in the game, then it wouldn't be broken. But because we have Yukine, especially at R2, where you don't even need to inflict the freeze, you only need to attempt it to get the Snowcloak buff. This is the reason why it's broken, right? For those who don't know, the Snowcloak buff is whenever you take 6 turns or whenever 6 turn passes by, allies with Snowcloak will get an additional turn. And it also has some other buffs as well, like for fighter it gives you 100% attack, and for non-fighters it gives you plus 30% damage. So what that allows you to do is you can perma cycle. Now hold on, this is not the only buff that I'm going to showcase you. There is another bug with Maria. I'll let you guess for a bit, but for the first bug I'm going to show you is going to be in the hypothermia debuff. I decided to try her out in Dark Starlord because there's 2 ads, right? There's 2 minions. At first I thought the debuff maybe can be land onto the minions, but it turns out even Dark Starlord can be inflicted with the hypothermia debuff. Every single update they somehow managed to let a completely broken bug in every single patch. Like look at this. Right now I have 3 stacks of the hypothermia debuff on Dark Starlord, the main boss. Not just the ads, right? The ads are also getting the hypothermia debuff. And again, since I have R2 Yukine in the team, I don't need to land the freeze, I just need to attempt it. Alright, so when my unit does an AoE attack, look at that. My Manta Era already has the Snowcloak buff. So, now look, the Blizzard proc, and now my Manta Era gets another turn. And since my entire team can get the Snowcloak buff, I would only need to proc 2 more turns for me to get a full team of additional turn. So basically with this team, if you get lucky enough with your Astral procs, you can get infinite turns while Dark Starlord takes 0 turns. This is so clear. If you look at the enemies, if you read the debuff, ineffective on bosses, and yet Dark Starlord is just taking it like a good boy. He's receiving the debuff like a good boy, man. And now 4 of my units already have full Snowcloak buff. So whenever 6 turn passes by, then all 4 of my units are gonna get a bonus turn. I mean, look at this. Dark Starlord hasn't moved 1 single time, and 40 turns has passed by. Look at this. He hasn't even moved from the AP bar. Oh my goodness. So there's 2 game-breaking bugs in this patch, right? The first one is the hypothermia working on Dark Starlord for whatever reason. I don't know why. And then the second bug, if you've noticed, you'll see some text that says AP swap. Let me remind you, right? Maria's S1. Let's read it together. Inflicts 1 stack of hypothermia, okay. If the target's AP is higher than that of the ally with the lowest AP percent, swaps their AP. Swap doesn't take effect on bosses and is not regarded as an AP boost or reduction. Swap doesn't take effect on bosses. I want you guys to pay close attention. Now look at this. AP swap on my Ming Show. Now you might say that it's only showing the text, right? Another AP swap right there. You might say it's just showing the text, but the effect is not active, right? Let me show you one more time. When I do proc the AP swap, I will show you the AP. This should proc 1 AP swap. Okay, my Champagne got AP swap. You saw just now, right? Now, her AP is at 63%. You look at the enemies, the boss has 5%, and the ads have exactly 63%. This is not a coincidence. The AP swap kind of works. It doesn't swap the AP, it matches the AP. So your allies get AP boosted, but because the enemy is immune to all AP manipulations, the enemy still retains their AP. These 2 ads are not considered as a boss for some reason, according to Maria's S1, but it's also not working properly as well. It shouldn't work in the first place, but it's not even swapping the AP, it's matching the AP now. Every single time she S1 onto these ads, she will match the AP with the lowest ally to this ad right here. Now it doesn't work on the Dark Starlord itself, but it does work on the 2 ads. So again, Dark Starlord has only moved once. If you look at the counter, this cooldown is only at 19, so he's only moved once. And I'm at 66 turns left, which is more than half of the turn count. And Dark Starlord moved once. He moved once, and look at his AP. He's barely at 20% AP. and the fight is almost over. It's halfway over. So yeah, it's so brain dead. By the way, this team can score upwards of like 60 million. So, but it's not the best team one. Currently, this strategy is not the greatest. You can still get a high score, but you're better off just running your old standard team, because this team that I'm running right now, it doesn't have any debuffs. So even though I can get all of the turns, eventually when the turn count goes to 0, Dark Starlord will change form, and then he will add damage reduction stacks because I don't have any debuffs, right? But there is a team that can maintain 0 stacks on Dark Starlord while also doing a lot of damage, which is going to be this team right here. I haven't tested out a lot of teams, but this team does work and it gets a pretty good score. It's scoring between 20 to 23 million damage, whereas the Ming Shou team can score upwards of 60 million, but the stacks on the boss can go upwards of 14 stacks, which is not good because that's damage reduction for your team 2 and team 3, right? And your team 2 at this point is doing above 300 million. So that 14% damage reduction is massive. Now, initially, I wanted to showcase this second team right here. Shoutouts to STS Momo for finding out this team. I think she's the first one to run this Seek team in the Elite team. But after finding out the bug on Maria, especially with how game-breaking it is, 2 game-breaking bugs by the way, I just had to make this video first. Maybe I'll do a showcase on this team, but for now I'm just going to do some blitz with the Maria bug just to get a new high score. It didn't even cross my mind to use Maria in any of the False Total Fantasy bosses. Bosses, it's in the name! I thought maybe there could be a bug with Dark Starlord because he has minions. So the debuff, the Hypothermia debuff could work on him. So I gave it a try, and lo and behold, it worked not only on the minions, but also on the boss as well. That's the reason why the first test I did was against Shadow Fire, and not against the other shadow bosses, because they don't have any minions, right? When they don't have any minions, most likely will not work because it does say ineffective on bosses. But it turns out it works against the ads for Shadowfire, and now it also works on Dark Starlord. I have not tried against Forbiter. I've not tried against Sonica. I think there's a chance that she can work in Forbiter as well. If you look at this example right here, it's not just working on the minions, but it's also working on the Dark Starlord boss itself. So if it does work on Dark Starlord boss itself, then it should work on Forbiter, right? Now, when it comes to Lilith, they might just fix this bug to make it so that the debuff will not work on the bosses anymore. But keep in mind, we do have Meta Drew. And Meta Drew, his S1 is reduce the defense stats of, or he steals the defense stats and then gives it to the ally with the most stacks of his buff, right? Which essentially means that he can attack break and defense break with his S1. And it turns out that Meta Drew did not work on False Total Fantasy bosses, but for some reason, he works on the shadow bosses. And instead of fixing the bug, they allowed it. They changed his S1 description to exclude the shadow boss. So any other boss in the game, he cannot stat lower them with his S1. But for the shadow bosses, he can. This could also happen for Maria. The likelihood of that happening is probably near 0. Because the difference between Meta Drew and Maria is one of those units is time gated, whereas the other one is not. Maria is not time gated. She is just resource heavy, right? You need to accumulate Shimmer Records, but you can get her anytime. But as for Meta Drew, during the time, you can only get him from the Battle Pass, which you have to pay. So that's the main big difference. So that's what I think. The main reason why Meta Drew got away with his game-breaking bug and why Maria won't is because, again, there we go, we got it. One is time gated, heavily time gated, and then one, you can get her anytime. Again, the game-breaking bug is not just the debuff, it's also her S1. For some reason, it works against Dark Starlord minions. Maybe if it does work against Forbiter or Counter Sonica, then it's going to be a huge mess. Because then it's going to be possible for you to perma cycle in those 2 bosses. I mean, I told you, every single patch, there's at least one game-breaking bug. This time Lilith is very generous because they gave us 2 game-breaking bugs. That's about it. Ciao.